He clicked a button to withdraw $395,000. This was it. The first step toward the new life he'd been planning for months. A life he'd talk about in hundreds of late-night messages and excited phone calls with the woman he'd fallen for. On the screen of the sleek, professional-looking crypto trading app, his balance showed more than $2.5 million. A fortune he'd built in just a few frantic months. He clicked, and a small loading icon appeared. He waited and waited. The icon just spun. Nothing happened. He tried again. Blocked. A cold knot of dread tightened in his stomach, his hands trembling. He quickly opened WhatsApp to message her. "Something's wrong with the withdrawal," he typed. No reply. He sent another message. Then another. He looked at her profile picture, that smiling face that had become so familiar, so trusted. And then he watched as the picture vanished, replaced by the generic gray icon. Her name disappeared. The chat history was still there, a ghost of a relationship, but the person on the other end was gone. In that single brutal moment, Richard Dunlap of Cocoa Beach, Florida, realized it was all a lie. The woman, the romance, the millions in profit, all of it, and his entire life savings had just vanished along with her. Before the nightmare, before the fake app and the millions of dollars that were never real, it all started with something incredibly ordinary. A friend request on Facebook. The request was from a woman Richard didn't know, but he saw they had a few mutual friends. In the world of social media, that creates a thin, often unearned layer of trust. A digital friend or friend, nod that makes you lower your guard. So Richard accepted, and with that one click, the trap was set. The first few chats were simple, the kind of polite, get-to-know-you small talk that happens millions of times a day. They talked about their jobs, their interests, the sunny life in Florida. It was easy, comfortable. Before long, she suggested they move their conversation to WhatsApp. This is a critical, calculated step in the modern scammer's playbook. WhatsApp feels more personal and private, creating an illusion of intimacy and an exclusive line of communication, far from the public square of Facebook. Once they were on WhatsApp, the relationship deepened, slowly and deliberately. This wasn't a rushed, obvious con. It was a masterclass in patience and psychological manipulation. For months, the scammer, hiding behind the fake identity of a successful, trustworthy woman, got to work grooming him. Law enforcement calls this the pig butchering scam, and this was the first, most crucial phase, fattening the pig before the slaughter. Every day started with a good morning, sunshine text, and ended with a sweet dreams call. She sent photos of her meals, of sunsets she was supposedly watching, of places she claimed to visit. She built a rich, detailed, and completely fictional life. She'd ask about Richard's day, listening to his problems and celebrating his wins. She shared her own stories of past heartbreaks that seemed vulnerable, and tales of business success that made her seem savvy and independent. This wasn't just a simple catfish looking for attention. It was a professional operation. The person Richard was talking to was likely part of a large, organized scam center, possibly in Southeast Asia, working from a script of conversational tactics. Their job is to mirror their target and become the perfect partner. If the victim is lonely, they offer company. If they're ambitious, they offer shared dream. For Richard, she became a confidant, a business mentor, and a romantic partner, all in one. They planned their future, the places they'd travel, the life they would build together. The relationship was a product. The trust it built was a currency. After months of this, Richard wasn't talking to a stranger anymore. In his mind, he was talking to the woman he was going to spend the rest of his life with. The trust was absolute, and that was exactly the point. After months of building that deep emotional connection, the tone of their conversation started to shift. It was subtle. The scammer, his trusted girlfriend, began casually mentioning her success with cryptocurrency. It wasn't a hard sell, not at first. She wove it into their chats about the future they were planning. She'd talk about a big trade she made and how it would help them reach their shared dreams faster. She framed it not as a risk, but as a secret key to financial freedom. She told him she had access to an exclusive trading app. It wasn't on the public app store, she explained. It was a private platform for a select group of investors with inside knowledge. This is a classic tactic. It creates a sense of exclusivity, making the victim feel special, like they're being invited into an inner circle. She didn't just tell him, she showed him. She sent screenshot of her own account, displaying staggering profits and charts that only ever seemed to go up. "Look at this, honey," she'd say. "We could be doing this together." Imagine not having to worry about money ever again. The pitch was intoxicating because it was wrapped in the language of their relationship. This wasn't a cold call from a stranger. This was his partner, offering to share her secret to success. Richard was still cautious. This was his life savings, his retirement fund. He wasn't a gambler, but she was patient. She walked him through it, coaching him on how to download the app and set up an account. The app itself was a work of digital art. It looked completely professional, with real-time price tickers, sophisticated charts, and a clean user interface. To an untrained eye, it was indistinguishable from a legitimate platform from a major financial company. In reality, it was a puppet show, a digital facade where every number, chart, and profit was completely fabricated by the scammers. To get him over the finish line, she encouraged him to start small. "Just try it," she would have urged. "Put in a little, see how it works. You won't believe it." So he did. He made a small initial investment, just as she'd promised. He saw incredible returns almost immediately. The app showed his first few trades, making a 40% profit. It seemed too good to be true. But then came the most brilliant and cruel part of the entire deception. She told him, "Why don't you make a withdrawal? See for yourself that it's real. Take some of your profit out." Richard requested a withdrawal of $3,800, half expecting it to fail. But a short time later, the money appeared in his bank account. Cold, hard cash. That one successful withdrawal was a key that unlocked his entire financial life. It was the masterstroke. Any doubt he might have had was instantly erased. The app was real. The profits were real. The woman he loved wasn't just a partner. She was a financial genius who had just handed him the keys to the kingdom. He later remembered thinking, "Well, this must be real." That small taste was all the proof he needed. It wasn't a gamble anymore. In his mind, it was a sure thing. Now, he was ready to go all in. With the successful $3,800 withdrawal, the floodgates were wide open. Richard was no longer a cautious observer. He was a true believer. The app on his phone was a portal to a new life, and the woman he spoke to every day was his guide. The next few months, from January to March of 2025, were a blur of high-stakes deposits. He wasn't just investing spare cash anymore. He was liquidating his entire life. He emptied his savings accounts. Then he took the most drastic step of all. He cashed out his entire 401k, the retirement fund he had spent a lifetime building. The process was relentless. Over that 3-month window, he poured $1.2 million into the fake app, including 2 separate transfers of $200,000 in just 2 days. In the months that followed, he scraped together even more, eventually bringing his total investment to nearly $2.5 million. Every time he sent money, the scammer was on WhatsApp, cheering him on. She coached him through the wire transfers and celebrated each deposit as a step toward their future together. "We're building our empire," she might have texted, her messages filled with hearts and money bag emojis. "Soon, we'll be on a beach with no worries." This constant praise drowned out that tiny, rational voice in the back of his mind. Why would he doubt her? Every piece of evidence he had told him this was the greatest opportunity of his life, and the app itself provided the most compelling proof. With each deposit, he watched his balance on the screen explode. His trades were miraculously successful. The screen was a cascade of green numbers and huge gains. A profit of $153,000 here, another $143,000 there. It was a fantasy made digital. He watched in amazement as his balance soared past 1 million, then 2 million, eventually topping $2.5 million. Imagine what that does to you psychologically. A lifetime of work and savings more than doubling in a few months. Every financial goal he ever had wasn't just met, it was shattered. He could retire tomorrow, buy any house he wanted, and travel the world with the woman who made it all possible. The numbers on that screen weren't just numbers. They were his wildest dreams coming true. He was no longer just Richard Dunlap from Cocoa Beach. He was a multimillionaire, a savvy crypto investor on the verge of a new, incredible life. The entire system was designed to create a state of euphoria so powerful that it completely shut down his disbelief. The romance gave him the emotional foundation. The withdrawal gave him the logical proof. And the fake app gave him the intoxicating high. He was so far in both emotionally and financially that the idea of it being a scam was simply unthinkable. The dream, so vivid and all-consuming, shattered in an instant. The time had come for Richard to enjoy the fruits of his investment. He and his girlfriend had talked about it. It was time to pull some money out and start putting their plans into motion. He decided to withdraw a significant amount, $395,000. It was a life-changing sum, but it was just a fraction of the $2.50 million plus that the app proudly displayed as his balance. He logged into the app, the same one he'd checked dozens of times a day to watch his fortune grow. He went to a withdrawal screen, his heart likely pounding with excitement. This was the moment. He entered the amount, confirmed the details, and hit the button. And then nothing. Blocked. Shut out. The same seamless interface that had eagerly accepted his life. Savings now became an impenetrable wall. He tried again. Same result. Confusion quickly turned to panic. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was a simple transaction, one he'd even tested before. His first instinct was to contact his partner. He opened WhatsApp and sent a frantic message, expecting her to have a simple solution. Maybe a technical glitch or a new procedure. Her initial replies, if any came, were likely designed to stall and squeeze even more money out of him. This is a common final stage in these scams. The scammer will often invent a reason the withdrawal failed, claiming a large tax payment or service fee is needed to unlock the funds. They prey on their victims' desperation, try and get one last drop. But the charade was about to end. As Richard pressed her answers, his messages growing more urgent, the replies got slower. Then they stopped altogether. He must have been staring at his phone, waiting for the typing bubble that would never appear again. He called her number. It didn't go through. Then came the final, soul-crushing blow. He looked at her profile on WhatsApp, the curated images of a life he thought he was part of, and watched them disappear in real time. The profile picture reverted to a generic silhouette. The name was gone. The connection was severed. In that moment, the entire elaborate fantasy collapsed. The woman he loved didn't exist. The relationship was a lie. The app was a sham. And the $2.5 million, his entire life savings and 401k, were gone. He later described his feelings. I was enraged. I probably went through all the normal feelings as somebody feels when they've been ripped off. It's a storm of emotions that's hard to imagine. There's a white-hot fury at the faceless thieves who had so intimately and cruelly deceived him. There's a crushing weight of shame and self-blame, that endless loop of, how could I have been so stupid? There's the heartbreak of mourning a relationship that was never real. And underneath it all, there's a terrifying, hollow emptiness of complete financial ruin. Every dream for his future, so real just hours before, had been stolen. This wasn't just a bad investment. It was a violation of the deepest human trust, leaving a wound far deeper than just an empty bank account. Richard Dunlap's story is a brutal reminder of just how sophisticated these scams have become. They don't just target the gullible. They target our fundamental human need for connection and trust. And this is happening every single day. So I have to ask, has anyone you know ever gotten a suspicious message on social media that quickly turned to talk of crypto investing? Let me know your experience in the comments below. Sharing these stories is critical to raising awareness. And if you're finding this breakdown valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next investigation. Awareness is our best defense. What happened to Richard wasn't a one-off tragedy. He was a victim of a brutally effective fraud known as a pig butchering scam, or Sha Zhu Pan in Chinese. The name is grimly accurate. The pig is the victim, who is fattened up over months with a fake romance or friendship. The butchering is the final act, where the scammer manipulates the victim into pouring money into a fraudulent platform before vanishing with everything. This isn't the work of lone hackers. It's a global, industrialized criminal enterprise. Many of these scams are run from massive, clandestine compounds, primarily in Southeast Asian countries. These scam factories operate with terrifying efficiency, employing thousands of people who work from detailed scripts to target victims all over the world. The scale of this industry is staggering. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, investment fraud was the costliest crime category in 2024, with reported losses totaling $6.57 billion. A huge driver that is crypto-related investment scams, which accounted for $5.8 billion of those losses. These figures are just what gets reported. Richard's $2.5 million loss, while catastrophic for him, is just a single drop in a vast and growing ocean of fraud. These pig butchering scams are becoming more sophisticated every year. Scammers are now using artificial intelligence to write more persuasive scripts and even create deepfake videos to add another layer of authenticity to their false personas. This blend of human emotional manipulation and cutting-edge technology makes these scams incredibly difficult to spot. While Richard's case is a textbook romance-based scam, these criminals are versatile. Another major scam involved fake Google Chrome extensions that impersonated the popular hardware wallet software, Ledger Live. Instead of building a relationship, scammers targeted people already in the crypto space. They used Google search ad to trick victims into downloading a malicious extension, which would then ask for their 24-word seed phrase, the master key to their entire crypto wallet. Once the user entered their phrase, the hackers could drain their account in minutes. The methods may change, but the goal is always the same: total financial devastation. The architects of these scams are professionals, but their playbook is predictable. Recognizing their patterns is your most powerful defense. The U.S. Secret Service has issued specific warnings about these schemes, and analysts advise a healthy dose of suspicion. The core advice is simple: be incredibly wary of unsolicited financial advice, especially from someone you've only met online. Here are the key warning signs, drawn directly from Richard's devastating experience. First, watch out for unsolicited contact. A friend request or a random message from a complete stranger, even one with mutual friends, should immediately put you on high alert. Second, be suspicious if they quickly try to move the conversation. A common tactic is to move the chat from a public platform like Facebook or a dating app to a private, encrypted app like WhatsApp or Telegram. This is done to isolate you. Third, beware of the secret opportunity. If your new online friend or love interest starts talking about a private investment strategy or special trading app that promises unusually high returns, that is a massive red flag. Legitimate investments don't come with guarantees of 40% profits. Fourth, never download an unknown application. Scammers will pressure you to use their specific app. Stick to well-known, reputable platforms that you can download from official app stores. And finally, remember that a successful small withdrawal is not proof of legitimacy. It's a calculated part of the scam, a trick designed to make you feel safe, so you'll invest a much larger sum. As one outreach specialist, Brian Watson, puts it, you have no obligation to be nice to people who might be trying to steal from you. If a conversation feels wrong, if someone is pressuring you about money, you can and should just block them. If you think you've been targeted or have become a victim, report it immediately to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, and the Secret Service. While getting money back is difficult, reporting is vital to help authorities track these criminal networks and warn others. What happened to Richard Dunlap is a tragedy of modern trust. He didn't fall for a poorly worded email. He was groomed by a sophisticated, patient, and ruthless criminal operation that played his emotions to perfection before bleeding him dry. He lost his life savings, his retirement, and a future he thought he was building with someone he cared for. By courageously sharing his story, he wants his painful experience to serve as a warning for others, a stark example of how easily anyone can be targeted. His story highlights a dark truth of our time. The same tools that connect us can be turned into weapons of unimaginable financial and emotional damage. The cost of these scams isn't just measured in dollars. It's measured in broken trust and shattered dreams. And that is a price no one should ever have to pay.